There comes a moment in every life when continuing feels harder than stopping, not because you lack strength, not because you lack ability, but because you're tired mentally, emotionally, quietly tired. If you're listening to this right now, there's a chance you're standing in that moment. Let me tell you something important before we go any further. The urge to quit is not a sign that you're weak. It's often a sign that you've been strong for a very long time. I learned this lesson slowly, through years of trying, failing, restarting, and doubting myself. Like many people, I believed motivation was something you either had or you didn't. But life taught me that motivation fades, discipline weakens, confidence disappears. What remains, if you allow it, is character. There was a season in my life where nothing seemed to move forward. I was doing the work, showing up, putting in effort, but the results stayed silent. No recognition. No clear progress. Just repetition. Day after day. And silence can be louder than failure. Because failure gives you feedback. Silence gives you doubt. I remember asking myself, what if I stop? Would anyone even notice? And the answer terrified me, maybe not. But then something else surfaced. A quieter voice. A wiser one. It said, what if this part of your life isn't about results? What if it's about becoming someone who can handle them? That's when I realized something fundamental. Life prepares you in private before it rewards you in public. Most people never see the preparation. They only see the outcome. They see confidence, not the years of uncertainty. They see success, not the nights of self-doubt. They see strength, not the moments when giving up felt reasonable. But every strong person you admire once stood exactly where you are now, tired, unsure, and tempted to quit. Here is a truth we don't talk about enough. Giving up rarely happens in dramatic moments. Happens quietly. It happens when you tell yourself, just today, I'll stop trying. And then today becomes a habit, but so does perseverance. I once met an old man who had worked the same simple job for decades. No fame, no applause. I asked him how he stayed consistent for so long. He smiled and said, I didn't stay motivated. I stayed committed. Motivation comes and goes. Commitment stays when motivation leaves. That sentence stayed with me. Commitment is not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It simply shows up, especially on days when it doesn't feel like it. Life will test you in moments when quitting seems logical, when the effort feels unfair, when progress feels invisible, when others seem to move ahead while you stand still. But progress isn't always movement. Sometimes progress is endurance. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not give up on a version of yourself that hasn't fully arrived yet. There were times I compared my journey to others. Their speed, their clarity, their success. And every time I did, I lost sight of my own path. Comparison doesn't inspire growth, it steals it. Everyone walks a different road. Some paths are straight. Some are winding. Some are slow because they're building depth. Your pace is not a weakness. It's a reflection of what you're learning. And here's another truth that changed everything for me. Rest is not quitting. Pausing is not failing. We live in a world that celebrates non-stop movement. But wisdom understands rhythm. Even the heart rests between beats. Even the earth sleeps through winter. Burnout doesn't come from effort. It comes from effort without meaning. So ask yourself not how much longer can I push, but why does this matter to me? Reconnect with that answer. Never quit on a bad day. Never make permanent decisions in temporary emotions. Let the feeling pass. Let the storm settle. Clarity often comes after calm. There was a point when I realized that life wasn't asking me to be fearless. It was asking me to be faithful to my values, my growth, my integrity. Fear doesn't disappear when you're doing the right thing. It often appears to test whether you'll continue anyway. And courage isn't the absence of fear. It's movement in its presence. You don't need to see the whole path. You don't need guarantees. You don't need approval. You only need to take the next honest step. One step. One decision. One moment of choosing not to quit. And over time, those small choices compound into strength you didn't know you had. If life feels heavy right now, let me tell you this gently. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are in the middle of becoming. The version of you that looks back one day will be grateful you stayed. Grateful you endured. Grateful you didn't walk away from something meaningful just because it was difficult. Because difficulty is not a sign to stop. It's often a sign that what you're doing matters. So breathe, slow down, ground yourself, then continue, not aggressively, not desperately but steadily. Quiet persistence outlasts loud motivation. And remember this above all else, you don't quit because you're tired, you rest. And then you keep going, because the story isn't over yet, and your next chapter still needs you. Thanks for listening. If this message resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more content like this. Take care.